Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the 49th line. My name is Logan, and this is a show where we talk about both sides of the border and their political battles and pretty much everything that they're trying to cover up in the mainstream media. So, yeah, today, Pierre Poilievre came out and stood against the media, in particular CBC, and gave a little speech about Chris d'Entremont, the MP that is in Nova Scotia that was a conservative and now somehow became a liberal. You know, this stuff happens all the time, right? But yeah, Chris d'Entremont, he was the Nova Scotia MP who decidedly became a liberal. Now, on the surface, he says it's because Pierre's leadership style didn't align with his values, but the usual political breakup line. All right. So before we get into it, I'll just give you guys a little breakdown. Chris d'Entremont has been a shadow liberal for a while, just like our buddy Doug Ford. If you haven't been paying attention to the way that he votes, it's public knowledge. He hasn't been voting in. He has been voting in favor of big spending bills, cozying up to liberal policy, and avoiding any tough stances the conservatives have been taking. It's been clear for a while he's what we like to call a shadow liberal. He's been sitting in the conservative room, but his political heart has been in the Trudeau camp for a while. So when he made the move, honestly, it didn't surprise anyone paying attention. If anything, it's kind of confirmed what we've all been saying behind the scenes. This is also just a big political tactic to spin the narrative into saying Pierre Poilievre is just like Trump. That's all they're trying to do here. All right, we'll switch over and let Pierre say some stuff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now questions from the floor.
Hi, Matthew Skase, Globe and Mail. You've yet to address last week's floor crossing and departure from caucus. Chris d'Entremont said your leadership is why he crossed the floor. How do you respond to comments that your caucus is not united right now?
Well, first of all, I just quote Mr. d'Entremont, who said, and I quote, "Since I first elected here in 2019, the cost of living has skyrocketed. Even then, families in Nova Scotia, as it is now, as it was called at the time back, but is now Acadie and Annapolis, we're struggling. We warned that the Liberals out-of-control spending and massive deficits were irresponsible, but of course they did not listen. Now, after 6 months under the new Prime Minister Mark Carney, who promised fiscal discipline, Canadians are still waiting." He said, Mr. Carney said, I'm quoting Mr. d'Entremont here, Mr. Carney said he would be judged by the cost at the grocery store. Well, Canadians are judging him, and they are not impressed. Since the Liberals came to power, food prices have risen 40%, said Mr. d'Entremont. We have heard it many times here today. It is deliberate, and it is unacceptable. It is inhumane for a G7 country, said Mr. d'Entremont of Liberal policies. He said, we are a rich country, we are a food basket of a country. We can produce all the food for many people in the world, and we can barely feed ourselves for some reason, end quote. That is how Mr. d'Entremont described the outrageous cost of living as the direct result of Mark Carney's Liberals. I'm very saddened for the Nova Scotia families on whom Mr. Carney and Mr. d'Entremont are raising the price of groceries and homes, but that will not change our resolve to continue to fight for an affordable Canada, affordable budgets, and an affordable future. Thank you.
Et en français.
So yeah, as you can see there, didn't really answer the question too much, but just kind of pointed out that Chris d'Entremont said these things about the Liberal Party not even 5 months ago. Like, how does he just take that all back and cross the floor? I don't know.
Merci beaucoup. Je vais juste citer viable.
To the West Coast, it would be significant commitment to action on the so-called 9 bad laws, and that would all happen Grey Cup week. That is to say, tomorrow. We are also told somehow there might be some sort of memorandum of understanding between the province of Alberta and Carney. That's just floating out there. I don't know if that's confirmed. What are your thoughts? Because for weeks, months, we've been promised that Grey Cup week, the stamps aren't in, neither is Edmonton, but that Alberta would get a win on both of those files?
Well, tomorrow. It reminds me when you go into the pub, the Liberals are like that pub that has that sign on the wall that says free beer tomorrow. And so you come back the next day and it still says free beer tomorrow. And you keep coming back day after day for the promise of free beer, and the price of beer continues to rise and rise and rise. So they keep telling us that something is going to happen tomorrow. Mark Carney's been Prime Minister for 8 months, promising to move at, quote, unimaginable speeds. And yet there's not a single project that he has launched that was not already in the making or approved before he took office. Mark Carney needs to do only one thing for us to get a pipeline from Alberta to the Pacific. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. There are trillions of dollars of international investment crying out for the chance to build that pipeline without any government support. All they need is the federal government to stop blocking it. Repeal the get out of the way and repeal the 9 bad laws that block energy projects. Get out of the way and remove the ban on shipping oil off the northwest coast of BC, a ban that only applies to Canadians because, of course, American tankers can travel between Alaska and California in those very same waters, so why not allow Canadians to do the same? Get out of the way and get rid of the Liberal industrial carbon tax so that we can actually produce enough oil to fill a future pipeline. Get out of the way, Mark Carney, and do it now. It has been 8 months. We don't need Mark Carney to put on a hard hat and hold another photo op. He's had countless photo ops in the last 8 months, while investment flees and our industrial sector leaves to the United States of America. He's not got shovels in the ground on anything. Now, I suspect there will be some sort of quote-unquote memorandum. You know something? Memorandums don't pay the bills. We need shovels in ground. So Mark Carney should get out of the way and tell us on what date will shovels be in the ground on a new 1 million barrel a day pipeline from Hardisty, Alberta to Prince Rupert or Kitimat, British Columbia. That's all he's got to do. Give us the date, show us where the shovel will hit the ground, and tell us on when it will happen. That is what we need to have. Get out of the way, Mark Carney.
Just for the record, Mark Carney will never allow a pipeline. None of these Liberals will. Everyone says that that's what we need to do to start building money in Canada. We could be one of the richest countries in the entire world if we just allowed our natural resources to be sold. Look at what they're doing in Abu Dhabi. They're absolutely filthy rich because of their oil, and we have more than them. So,
Monsieur, apparemment, demain, on va avoir les nouvelles. Avec les libéraux, c'est toujours demain. C'est comme le bar où ils ont une pancarte qui dit demain, il va y avoir de bière gratuite. Mais on arrive le lendemain et ça dit toujours que c'est demain que la bière deviendra gratuite. Et toujours, chaque jour, le prix augmente. Et c'est la même chose avec les ressources.
I should correct myself. We don't have more oil than Abu Dhabi, but we have more natural resources in total. So we could probably be richer than them if we started selling them.
Naturel. Depuis son arrivée au pouvoir, il y a 8 mois, avec la promesse qu'il allait bâtir des choses avec une vitesse inimaginable. Il n'y a pas
leadership as a reason for leaving. I just want to put Tim Brooks
le chemin et permettrait aux investisseurs d'investir, aux constructeurs de construire et aux travailleurs de travailler. Donc, enlever les libéraux du chemin et permettrait notre économie d'être le plus riche et abordable au monde. Merci beaucoup.
Hey, Tim Brooks, CTV. You lost 2 MPs the week of the budget. One cited your leadership as a reason for leaving. I just want to put Carney and the Liberals to the side here, just as you personally.
Of course you do.
Does this say anything about your leadership? Have you maybe reflected on your leadership style moving forward?
No, we are. My plan is to continue to lead and be the only leader in the country that's fighting for an affordable Canada, where our people who work hard can afford a home and food. That is my agenda. And
that's just it right there. The only leader fighting for an affordable Canada. Carney's $78 billion deficit is not fighting for an affordable Canada. And everyone's saying, oh, the big investment. It's not an investment. 36% of that was investment. The rest, it's just bureaucracy bullcrap.
And I will just quote Mr. D'Entremont when he speaks about Mark Carney. He says, after 6 months under a new Prime Minister who promised financial discipline, Canadians are still waiting. He said that he would be judged by the cost of groceries at the store. Well, Canadians are judging him, and they are not impressed. He said this only a few months ago. Since the Liberals came to power, food prices are up 40%. We have heard it many times here today. It is deliberate and it is unacceptable. It is inhumane, said Mr. D'Entremont, for a G7 country. So he said that Liberal...
And now he's part of them. Great job, Chris. You did good, bud.
Liberal food price inflation under Mark Carney was inhumane, and I couldn't agree more. And I feel badly for the inhumane conditions, to use his own words, that he is now supporting for his own constituents. But I won't just quote him. I'll quote Nate Erskine-Smith, a Liberal MP, who now says that his children should not have to pay for Mark Carney's budget. Let me see here. Now to the bad and more fairly, where expectations were set at a level we failed to meet, including on the question of generational investments. The budget falls short of these specific promises in our platform, and it unfortunately falls well short of the wartime home building effort that many of us thought we'd deliver. It's certainly not a budget that should throw us into an election on an uncertain time, but it does not live up to its promise of generational investments. He goes on to say, this is Mr. Nate Erskine-Smith, a Liberal MP, that Mark Carney has broke his promise to spend less, with $90 billion of new spending, only 36% of which is actually capital. The rest is more costs. So when you have a Liberal MP attacking the costly credit card budget that Mr. Carney has put forward, then we see turmoil in the Liberals, and I know that there will be wall-to-wall coverage on CTV of this turmoil, of a Liberal MP criticizing his own budget days before the vote. I know you're camped outside his office right now, waiting to get comment from him. I know you...
He's hilarious. He knows that CBC and CTV, none of them, they're all Liberal lovers. They're not going to go against anybody in the Liberal Party, because it just makes them look bad. And we can only make Pierre Poilievre look bad, make him look like Trump, paint him as the bad guy, and turn Canada into a liberal nation, drowning in debt, never being able to succeed anywhere, not getting out of this terror war with Trump. Like, I don't know what their agenda is. I know what their agenda is, actually. They're getting paid millions and millions and probably billions of dollars by the Liberal government. But, yeah. That's for another day.
You've been chasing Mark Carney down hallways to find out what he has to say. I mean, it's just been the relentless coverage that you will have of this dissent within the Liberal Party. I understand also there's former Liberal Minister Guilbeault is unhappy with the environmental policies that while he supports raising costs, he doesn't think they raise them enough. We've got Wilkinson is unhappy. So I know that I'm looking forward to seeing the wall-to-wall coverage on CTV of all of the costly turmoil in the Liberal budget. So I will be tuning in tonight to watch your newscast. Thank you.
Hi there, Sydney Fizard with Rebel News. Last year it was reported RCMP published a secret report suggesting Canadians may revolt once we realize how broke we are. This year, under Prime Minister Carney, we're approaching a $100 billion deficit. How close are Canadians to a breaking point?
Well, many are already broken. That's not the only report. The Liberal government, there was a leaked report that came out through Black Locks, got very little media coverage, but it said basically liberal policies had us on track so that Canadians will have to forage and hunt for food because they can't afford groceries. Like, this is in Canada. This is the talk that you would expect in an impoverished, overpriced third world economy. But that is the trajectory that the Liberals have us on. And this costly credit card budget of Mark Carney will make that even worse. Canadians can't afford life. They are absolutely desperate. Go into our streets and talk to people. Ask them about their lives. Their lives are falling apart because they cannot afford this costly government. And it is leading to major breakdown. Go onto the street not far from here. There's an encampment where people who've lost hope and have been broken are now addicted to fentanyl and are dying face first on the pavement on our streets. These are the real issues. This is why I'm in politics, to fight for, to give back the promise of our country that every single Canadian, whether they're a waitress, a welder, or a businessman, can have a good plate of food every single night, live in a nice house on a safe street. That's why we're in this business.
Like, I don't understand how people can hear him talk about, like, and understand how passionate he is about giving us an affordable Canada once again. And they all just think it's him just talking out of his ass, I guess. And they all say, elbows up, let's go for Carney. Yeah, like, I don't know. There's a lot of crazy liberal people out there that despise Pierre Poilievre because I think they can see that he's actually making a difference. He's rallying a lot of young people around him because he's actually for the Canadian people. And they're getting scared because their pensions might get cut. Or not their pensions, but their welfare will probably get cut. I'm sorry. It'll probably go down. It's not going to be as easy to get disability anymore. If you're not actually disabled, then you're not getting disability. Sorry. That's what they're worried about. That's I seen a post the other day here by Occupy Canada after the Liberal MP or the Chris D'Entremont crossed the floor. They said unconfirmed reports suggest that Pierre Poilievre may be forced to resign by Monday. That would be awesome. See, like Occupy Canada, they have 87,000 followers. Never 51. All right. Anyways, I made a comment on this page. I said, unconfirmed rumors like this are nothing more than a political gossip meant to distract from what's really happening in Ottawa. The irony is that the same people pushing these stories turn a blind eye to actual shady behavior from MPs who have crossed the floor for personal gain. Remember Belinda Straunch, who left the Conservatives from the Liberals in 2005 and was rewarded with a cabinet position right before a critical vote? Or Rajad Khan or Liana Alesev, who both switched parties under questionable timing and were immediately embraced by the same liberal establishment pretending to care about your integrity right now? The blatant hypocrisy and ignorance from the leftist crowd is disheartening. They will scream corruption only when it's politically convenient. Meanwhile, the majority of Canadians have been spoon-fed bias from a media machine that is clearly aligned with the liberal narrative. People need to stop letting headlines do their talking for them and start looking at the facts. Pierre Poilievre is the first leader in years willing to challenge that system, and that is exactly why they are so desperate to tear him down. That got 255 reactions, 81 of them being laughing, 4 of them being heart, 1 being a cry. I know, I feel that. And then let's look at some of these comments from these liberals. This guy, Peter Lazar from Nova Scotia, said, man, you have really drank the little PP Kool-Aid. Some of what you write is true, although the Maple Mega filter. This is a new world with the new Maple Mega filter. See? Calling him Trump 2.0 is working. This is a new world with a new paradigm forming every day. You are obviously far too stuck in the past. Carney represents the best leadership we have. A new leader for a new era. We are fortunate to have a man of his caliber leading us into the future. So stop looking backwards and look into the future. Our prospects are so bright, and Carney is the man to get us there. He is a centrist and works on both sides of the party lines. Give him a chance. That is not true at all. Like, he was an advisor to Trudeau for how many years? Like 6 or so? This guy's been in the Liberal Party for that long. Why are you trusting anything that he's doing? All the people on his sitting in his caucus are the same people that Trump had or that Trudeau had. I don't know. And this somehow got 31 likes. Like, just a bunch of deluded people. PP is a joke and probe the downfall of the Conservative Party, but to say Carney is doing a good job is laughable. Every single politician is straight garbage. So out of touch with reality and kitchen table issues of our country. Well, at least Jordan understands that Carney's a joke as well. Yeah, I got over 100 negative comments on this post. People saying that it sounds like I might cry. Maybe your leader is repulsive to the average Canadian sensitivities. I don't believe so. People get mad when they hear facts. Like, we don't want to understand. Nobody wants to accept that we're a dying nation, where people can't eat. Food bills are ridiculous. And then I even said that with this new budget, grocery prices are going to rise. And everyone was arguing with me. I got to find that one. I believe that was another post. Oh, this isn't the same one, but when Stephen Harper left in office in 2015, Canada had a budgetary surplus of $1.9 billion. That means we didn't even have a deficit. We had a surplus. We had more money than we knew what to do with. Then Trudeau grew the debt by $686 billion. And now Carney wants to add another $80 billion this year alone. Then I had Vestro V from, doesn't say where he's from, but he said, find me a comparable country that has a surplus and the same social benefits that Canada offers. By the way, Canada offered all of those same benefits under Harper. We still had free healthcare under Harper. We might not have had every single social benefit that the Liberal Party likes to donate to all of our citizens and non-citizens, but I said, sure, I'll play. You want a comparable country? Australia. Australia consistently runs tighter budgets, has a fraction of our natural debt to GDP ratio, and still provides universal health care, childcare subsidies, public pensions, and strong unemployment benefits. They also have far less federal bloat, more efficient state spending, and they actually manage their natural resource revenue instead of taxing their citizens into the ground with fun waste. And even if we pretend that there isn't a perfect twin country, that doesn't excuse adding $686 billion in debt under Trudeau and another $80 billion under Carney on top of it. A government's job isn't to see who's in debt and copy them. It's to manage their own books responsibly. Harper left Canada with a balanced budget and $1.9 billion surplus. Trudeau and Carney have now turned that into a mountain of debt in less than a decade, with higher taxes, higher inflation, and lower productivity to show for it. So if the bar is to find someone else doing just as badly, congratulations. That's not leadership, that's damage control. That got 138 likes. And I had some people saying, incredibly well said, thanks so much. And then I had other people kind of shitting on me a little bit. Logan Connolly. And then they still miles behind on the rights of Indigenous Aboriginals and owing them billions in payment of stolen land. Yep. Oh, mostly positive. I love everything about this comment. Thank you. All right, let's find where I made liberals more mad. No, not this one. It's on here somewhere. Here it is. All right, so Mark Carney posted on November 4th. Canada has what the world wants: the resources, the ambition, and the ideas. Budget 2025 invests $1.7 billion to attract new talent, catalyst new research, and unlock our full economic potential. $1.7 billion to attract new talent. Invest $1.7 billion. I thought the budget was $78 billion. Where's the rest of that money going, Mark? Anyways, So I commented, Mark Carney, this new this new liberal budget is a complete disaster. Grocery prices are skyrocketing, food banks are overflowing, and families are barely surviving. And then you have the nerve to say Canadians need to make sacrifices to rebuild. 'Cause that's his big thing, right? You got to make sacrifices. We've been sacrificing for over 10 years, and the working class and young Canadians are already crushed. The constant talk of investments and investing is a real insult to everyday Canadians who have been able to invest or who haven't been able to invest in their own futures because taxes are through the roof and inflation is out of control. Investments are supposed to come with future rewards. But after the last decade, we're even further behind the 8 ball. Stop sugarcoating economic failure with buzzwords. This budget makes life worse, not better. And the next generation is the one paying the price. This one got 77 likes. Or reacts, I guess. 70 likes, 6 laughing, and 1 heart. Bill Fort, prices are set by the rich, not the liberals. I got 4 likes about all these. Look at all these idiots. To which, well, I guess I didn't respond to that one, but this is just factually incorrect because when they add money to the budgets and force manufacturers to change their labels and the things that their fertilizers, they put a bunch of boundaries on what farmers can and can't do. That adds money to the pockets when they actually sell the food. So that takes money out of our pockets because liberals want us to have new packaging that is actually lower in shelf life than regular plastic, which means can't stock up on food like you used to if you could afford it. It's just, yeah, this is just stupid. I can go on a little longer, but we'll keep going through these comments. This Sarah Stewart girl, me and her went back and forth quite a bit. Oh, this is funny too. What is your education and experience in comparison to Mark's? Just so everyone knows, you know what you were talking about. All right. This is where we got a little spicy. Logan Connolly, fun fact for you. A whopping 70% plus of registered conservatives voters were polled while they had the party at a 20-point lead nonetheless. One of the top 3 priorities was defense spending, and paying it with debt versus cutting federal social programs was preferred. Clearly, you don't understand the difference between domestic and foreign investments, nor how they work together. Seems rather convenient to dismiss the importance of evolving out of provincial trade barriers. Super fun fact for you, too. And simple, thank you, will suffice. The average cost of medical services per Canadian every year is approximately $42,000. You pay pennies on the dollar for that because of the Canadians, such as myself, that pay for you. Stop your bitching. It's embarrassing. And read a damn book while you're at it. Well, I had a couple words for Sarah. I guess there was a couple comments after mine, or before mine. You should probably speak for yourself. Oh, yeah, this Fernando guy. One of the lucky few. You should probably speak for yourself. I've had a great last 20 years in a very expensive Canadian market. Sure, it's tough sometimes, but you manage. Yeah. Would you rather it not be tough? Vote conservative, bud. There are hundreds of millions of people around the globe that live half the life that we have in Canada. How about figuring out how we can get through the tough times together instead of always blaming someone else? And I told Fernando, exceptions don't make the rule, my friend. Congratulations on being able to handle the tough Canadian market, but not everyone can be so lucky. I'm trying to figure out how to get through the tough times together. But a lot of people here in the comments haven't woken up yet and realized that they voted for the same party that has ruined the Canadian market for the last decade. Why should they deserve another 4 years to make things even worse? On this, Tina, well said. Many of us prospered. The pandemic hit the world. We fared well. Well, liberals did. Seemed the conservatives not so much, according to them. Like, how did he... These people are so delusional. Still laying blame. You gotta try it. You try to get away from that. Yeah, whatever. All right. Where did I respond back? I know I had a lot more replies. Some of them are funny, I must say that. Where's all my responses? Could have sworn I replied more than this. We had like 5 or 6 messages back and forth. I don't know why I can't find the comment. Oh, these should show them. There we go. I found her. All right. So, yeah, I read this already to you. I said, cute speech, but you're recycling liberal CBC talking points without understanding them. Canada's running record deficit, Canada's running record deficits north of 40 billion, carrying over $2.3 trillion in debt, and now paying more to service that debt than we do on health transfers. The newly proposed investment is a $78 billion deficit. That's not an investment, that's fiscal rot. Meanwhile, groceries are up over 20% in 3 years, mortgage renewals are crushing families, and the real wages haven't even moved in a decade. So forgive me for being tired of buzzwords like investing in Canadians when the only thing growing is government waste and household debt. And that $42,000 healthcare number you tossed out, total fiction. The actual per person public cost is around $7,500, maybe. Maybe read a budget instead of liberal press release before taking or trying to educate anyone. Because right now you sound like you are the one who definitely needs the homework. And she responded back saying, you literally don't have any idea how this works, do you? Blows my mind. And I said, amuse me and explain what you believe the positives would be with the facts, please. Or amuse me and explain what you believe the positives would be here with facts, please. Let me see how much you know about it. And I guess she didn't like that. She said, amuse you? Sure, why not? First thing to mention, enough with the ignorance about cost of food. Jesus freaking crashed. I'll give you the short version and feel free to read it more than once. What actually affects the food price is literally the cost of energy, labor, and transportation, exports and imports, weather and disaster events that affect harvest size, trade agreement tariffs, and exchange rates. If you fancy some self-respect, get yourself up to speed with the long version. Intelligence is cool. Be cool. To answer your question, what do I believe the positives are? Pretty freaking simple, dude. Factual ones, too. I shall be brief. Pointing out the obvious, economy is comprised of, just to name a few, basic elements: production, distribution, resources, trade, and consumption. Could keep going. What you're stomping your feet about is in fact capital spending, the majority of which is directed to, those things we call infrastructure, housing, resources projects, defense, just to name a few. And fun fact for you, we call those assets, and holy frick, those retain value and trigger an economic activity. Say it ain't so. Evolving out of some bullshit provincial trade barriers alone is an annual $200 billion boost to the GDP, simply because it expands labor mobility, creates jobs, opportunities in multiple sectors, eases the transport of goods, lowers costs, triggers investment. Yeah, where was I? Triggers investment for businesses, housing, and then some. Productive growth requires investment. Productive gap, bad. Productive growth, good. Trade diversification, we can cover tomorrow. That was a lot of reading. Anyways, I got more. She is very well spoken. She knows what she's talking about. It sounds like a little bit, but she's just drinking too much of the liberal juice, you know? Anyways, I said, appreciate the TED Talk, Professor. Maybe ease up on the attitude next time. The eye rolls and condescensions aren't exactly making your intelligence argument stronger. You're right. Food prices depend on energy, labor, and transport, but you're skipped over is who's making all of those more expensive. The federal government keeps hiking carbon tax, layering on new climate compliance fees, and adding regulations that make production, shipping, and even fertilizer use costly. Every truck that moves food, every plant that processes it, and every farmer that grows it is paying more. Those costs don't magically disappear, they land right on the grocery bills. So, yeah, energy plus labor, transportation matters, but government policies are the multiplier. Now, onto your capital spending spiel. You're talking like every dollar of spending is an investment in Canadians. Cute idea, but not quite reality. When Ottawa says we're investing money in housing, what they really mean is they're using our tax dollars to build government-owned assets. The new plan to focus on modular and public housing projects, not homes for the Canadians to buy, but units for Canadians to rent. So we pay for the construction. Ottawa adds the property to its asset sheet and then rents it back to us. Translation: we're paying the government to become our landlords. Brilliant wealth building strategy for them, if I do say so myself, which I did. It's kind of like when they brag about investing in clean energy. You dig 1 inch deeper and realize it's billions of subsidies to foreign companies building EV plants that hire a fraction of the jobs they promise. Meanwhile, Canadian manufacturers close because they can't afford to power the power rates or regulations that come from those same green policies. But hey, at least someone got a ribbon cutting photo op. And yes, productivity growth equals good. Nobody's arguing that. But productivity doesn't come from printing money and calling it stimulus. It comes from freeing up the private sector, fewer permits, less red tape, competitive tax rates, efficient energy policy, and actually supporting trades and industries instead of burying them in bureaucracy. Here's a fun stat since we're doing facts. Canada's productivity has dropped 0.5% annually since 2019, putting us dead last in the G7. Meanwhile, federal spending has skyrocketed, so clearly investing the way they're doing isn't working. We're paying more, getting less, and they're calling it progress. So yeah, investment sounds smart on paper, but when it's really just ballooning debt, growing bureaucracy, and fewer Canadians actually able to own anything, it's not investment. It's economic cosplay with a press release. Excited for the trade diversification chat tomorrow. Yeah, my neck's getting sore from looking over there and reading. All right. A couple more paragraphs, I think. Well, I could have just responded with asking you if you'd been interested in sharing your experience as someone who's been homeschooled by a pigeon. Oh, God. But I didn't. Instead, I chose to overlook your condescending choice of words, those being amuse me and let's see how much you know about it. Of course, the irony of you suggesting that I ease up on the attitude, eye rolls, and condescending, or condescend. Why is that word so hard for me to say? Condescensions. I don't know, whatever. After the appreciate the TED Talk professor has not escaped my attention either. To further that, my use of intelligence was not an argument at all, it was a statement. Pretty sure I'm the only one being amused here, considering I just read what it felt like a copy and paste moment of my reply with the addition of peppering in your own personal opinions. My spiel, by the way, at no time suggested that every dollar of spending is an investment. I literally said the majority of what is being directed to. Back to your suggestion of easing up on the attitude and stop saying that. Stop typing that word, please. Condescensions. Condescendence. I don't know. Reducing parts of my reply to your question as a spiel and cute idea, but not quite reality, is literally doing just that. And clearly, you didn't actually read the short version, or so I thoughtfully provided you either. So I thoughtfully provided you either. All right, whatever that means. And obviously, she didn't understand that my condescension, whatever the fuck that word is. I was doing that because of the way that she was articulating herself in the comments before. Conversations require active listening and critical thinking, which is, of course, the opposite of what you're doing here. Pseudo-listening is poor form, bud. It's quite lazy, equally as disingenuous, being more intent on persuading others than you are right and they are wrong is as common as they get. Oh, nice job with the big words and tidy paragraphs. Really impressive on the surface. Now let's dig into something. Now let's dig into something the Gen investment narrative isn't shouting about. While the 2025 budget is being sold as generational investment, one fact stands out. About 42% of the budget decisions are claimed to be strengthening sovereignty, and 36% are for bringing down costs for Canadians. Sounds good, but here's the catch. Even the budget document admits productivity is weak, businesses face ongoing uncertainty, delaying investment and expansion. Translation. They're saying we'll invest, but because growth is weak and business can't plan. So while everyone's hyped about the investment, the underlying problem is they're investing in something because they already broke it. Which means, yes, big spending, but the risk is we're using high deficit, high uncertainty spending to patch an economy that should have been building in the first place. That's not bold so much as it is we're behind and need a rescue budget. Your message was beautiful, high vocab, full of critical thinking talk, but where's the engagement with this? None. You repeated narrative, praised attitude, ignored substance. So great writing. Now try reading the fine print. I'll keep the big vocabulary if you keep the data. And of course, she didn't respond after that. So yeah, that's the state of the world that we're in right now. Everybody's going crazy. Liberals are in shambles. They're all excited thinking Pierre Poilievre's going to wake up tomorrow and step down as the leader of the opposition. And it's quite comical. Yeah. So I guess that's it for today's video. Maybe
Thank you.
I don't think he says anything else that we can go over, but let's just give it a listen and we'll see.
Last question.
Aaron Collins, CBC. So Chris D'Entremont, just turning back to last.
Oh yeah, this is the CBC guy again asking a question. We'll listen to this and then we'll sign off. All right.
Mm-hmm. Said that your party is being run like a frat house. So I'm just curious what you think he means by that, and if you think.
Well, I think that CBC had to be. Are you with CBC, by the way?
Yeah, that's what.
Oh, okay, right.
So I'm just curious if you think that could lead to more MPs leaving your caucus, and what you think he means by that.
Well, first of all, CBC has had to correct the falsehoods that they put into that story. So I encourage you to tell Canadians about the falsehoods you published and explain why you did that. But I would ask if you agree with Mr. D'Entremont, or you believe he was telling the truth when he said, and I'm going to quote, now after 6 months under a new Prime Minister who promised financial discipline, Canadians are still waiting. He said that he would be judged by the cost at the grocery store. Well, Canadians are judging him, and they are not impressed. Since the Liberals came to power, food prices have risen 40%. It's
funny that Chris D'Entremont actually said that the Conservative Party is like a frat house, considering he just left the Conservatives to go be with the Liberals, who are literally spending daddy's money, which would be the taxpayers' money, on and on and on and on and on, putting us in millions and billions of dollars of debt. Can't make this stuff up, people.
I've heard it many times here today. It is deliberate, and it is unacceptable. It is inhumane for a G7 country. Mr. D'Entremont said that Liberal food price inflation is inhumane. Do you believe that he was telling the truth when he said that? Yes. Oh, you can.
When asking the questions.
I did already. I already said that your report from CBC was wrong, and we have corrected the record. We put out a statement. We stand by the statement. But I have a statement here from Mr. D'Entremont. He says, since the Liberals came to power, food prices have risen 40%. We have heard it many times here today. It is deliberate, and it is unacceptable. It is inhumane. in a G7 country. Do you agree with Mr. d'Entremont that Mark Carney's food price inflation is inhumane?
So again, I asked you if you thought that if what you thought Mr. d'Entremont meant by your party being run like a frat house, whether or not you thought that would lead to more MPs leaving your caucus.
So funny how CBC just like drills on the fact that an MP left, as if it was all planned all along. They won't answer the question that Pierre is trying to ask. Like, oh, it's just frustrating. Answer the goddamn question. Pierre's team isn't like the Conservative Party isn't about beer pong and backslaps. They're about trying to make Canada an affordable country once again. And if Mr. d'Entremont doesn't like that, then yeah, maybe he was on the wrong team anyways. As like he's shown us by his previous votes in the House Commons. Clearly he was voting for the playing for the wrong team.
Caucus, that's
no
question for you, sir.
No. So I answered your question. And so the answer that I have back to you is that Mr. d'Entremont is
Nobody else is going to follow after this Chris d'Entremont. I know we've already had 2 liberals or conservatives join the liberals, but this is good for the Conservative Party. Weed out all the fake conservatives, makes us a stronger team. That's the way we got to look at it, and that's the way it is.
This is a quote from just a few months ago where he said that liberal food price inflation was inhumane. And you know what? He's right. Thank you.
What a gangster. Goes out on Chris d'Entremont's own words. Liberal food costs are insane. Well said, Chris d'Entremont. We all agree with you here in Canada. And yeah, that's it. If you guys like this video, sorry it was my first one. I'm a little rusty. We'll pick it up and get a little better rhythm here soon. Lots of news coming out of both sides of the border. That's what we cover here at the 49th line. If any of you guys don't know what my name comes from, 49th line, 49th parallel is the border between Canada and US. Little fun fact there for you. Yeah, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Again, I'm sorry for the video being a little long, unedited. Still kind of new at this, so let me know what you guys thought. Stick around for the next one. Hit that like button, subscribe. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. All that good stuff that I just said over and over again. All right. Love you guys. Bye.